First up in our ACC preview is the Boston College Eagles. When Bill O'Brien, in his first year last year as a head coach, picking up after Jeff Hafley, who left to become the Packers defensive coordinator, kind of had the same year as Jeff Hafley in his final year. Boston College had a 7-6 record for their second straight season. In week 3, Boston College was number 24 in the AP poll. It was the first time that Boston College was in the top 25 in 6 years. Their defense was really good last year, 31st in the country in EPA per play. They have a strong secondary coming back. Have some concerns up front with Donovan Ezeraku now leaving the program, and they lost all 4 starters from the defensive line too. And on offense, Bill O'Brien did do a really good job helping out Tommy Castellanos, the quarterback, improve his passing grade by over 17 points, but he transferred to Florida State this offseason. So now he has a new quarterback in Grayson James, who did start some games for them last year, and a rebuilt offensive line in front of them too. But they do have a lot of really good weaponry back. But like I said, Dalton, that defense, that secondary is probably the strength of the team.
Yeah, it's very much an experienced secondary and one of the better defenses in the ACC last year. But you look at especially the safety pair of KP Price and Carter Davis, and then you look at the unit as a whole. 7 of the 8 defensive backs that played at least 250 snaps last year are coming back for this Boston College team. Bill O'Brien, obviously a pro coach for a long time, wants his team to be physical, wants it to be based in defense, and that defense keeping him in games while he figures out what kind of premier talent he can try to find on offense with Grayson James now at quarterback and trying to build the weaponry around him.
I'm a little worried about the defensive line right now. It was a really good defensive line last year at Boston College, but they lost a superstar edge rusher in Donovan Ezeraku, a very good D tackle too, and Cam Horsley. Ezeraku was a first-team PFF All-American last year, now with the Dallas Cowboys. Horsley led all ACC D tackles last year with an 84.5 run defense grade. And Boston College also lost their other starting edge rusher and their other starting D tackle too. So 2 stars gone for that defensive line, and all 4 starters gone for that defensive line too. Dawn, tell me more about the new quarterback, though, in Grayson James, who did play a little bit for the Eagles last year. What should we know about him?
Yeah, he had starting experience down at FIU before coming to Boston College. He started a handful of games last year after Tommy Castellanos got benched. And you're talking about a guy who's kind of the anti-Castellanos when it comes to James being a pocket passer, a guy who's not going to make a lot of big dynamic, explosive plays, but he is functional, especially in the intermediate parts of the field where he had the 11th best passing grade in the country last year. He's going to attack the intermediate part of the field. He's going to attack the middle of the field for sure, and he's going to get into that second level with his throws against zone coverage, getting over those linebackers' heads. So I think what you're talking about for Bill O'Brien is a functional pocket passer, a guy that he's more used to, right, between his time, back in, his time in New England, and even you go back to his time at Penn State and everywhere he's coached. He's used to those classic pocket passers. James is that. The only thing with James is that he doesn't add a whole lot to the table when it comes to improvising or adding extra to the offense with his physical ability. Just a 2.8% big-time throw rate over the last 4 seasons, bottom 10 among passers with at least 500 dropbacks, and less than a 10% explosive run rate. So physically, he's not the most dynamic quarterback in the world, but he can absolutely function in that intermediate range over the middle of the field, making those throws off of play action, and really just running the offense the way that O'Brien wants to.
Absolutely. Should have a really good tight end helping him out too in Jeremiah Franklin. Franklin was actually one of the 20 most valuable tight ends in America last year, according to PFF's wins above average metric. He caught 80% of his contested targets and had a 145.3 passer rating when targeted. That was 5th among all tight ends in college football. Jeremiah Franklin also got open on 92% of his targets last year against single coverage, the best rate in the country. So very good route runner. Good hands, too. Great in 50-50 situations. Very underrated tight end who should become a much bigger part of the offense this year.
No, absolutely. I think it's when you talk about especially exactly those type of throws I was just talking about for Grayson James, I think Franklin is the exact right player at that tight end spot. Look, Bill O'Brien, he's going to want, it's cold weather, it's up in Boston, he's going to want to get heavy, he's going to want to run the football, he's going to want multiple tight ends out there. I think Franklin is really a guy who's going to be a focal point in the passing game, especially off of play action.
Who is the star defensive player for Boston College next year?
So we mentioned that secondary and the star safety back there is KP Price, a 77.7 coverage grade last season. He's a very versatile player who can play all over the place. I really like him in the box. I think he's a physical player who likes to play and run support as well. So when you look at KP Price leading the middle of this defense and just all of the things he can do, I think we're seeing this more and more from safeties throughout college football. Free safety and in the box and in the slot. He can do a little bit of everything, and he's really the leader of the secondary.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Dalton, bottom line time right now. 5.5 is the win total for the Boston College Eagles. What is the bottom line for this team? And basically, will they make a bowl game in 2025 after making a bowl game, I believe, in 2 straight years now?
Yeah, I think you're looking at that's kind of the cutoff here. And they've got some really tough games on their schedule. You look at, they beat Michigan State in a really tight game last year, and now they have to go to East Lansing. You've got Clemson, you've got Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, all on the schedule. I think there's a lot of games here where you could go, okay, maybe they're not the more talented team on the field, but that bowl game cutoff seems to be that's probably a realistic expectation. I will Fordham, Stanford, maybe Cal.
I'm going to go
UConn.
under for them, I think.
You're going under?
I'm going to go 5-7. It should be a really solid year for them. I see a lot of games on that schedule where I think they're not going to be favored in. I'm going to go 5-7 for them as a prediction.
Cal games at home. They're probably favored in, 3 solidly.
It is a cross-country trip to Stanford. They should win that game. Cal is at BC, cross-country trip.
Yeah, but they're probably of equal caliber, and they played a game down to the wire last year. That's the thing is BC is going to be this team that's playing in a lot of these 50-50 games, and they barely beat Michigan. I think maybe
they could start 4-0, honestly.
They could, but Michigan State played a very tight game with them last year. So that's going to be a game early on that's going to tell us. And it's at Michigan State. Yeah. We're expecting them maybe to be a little bit better. I think I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go Boston College just under.
Yeah.
They're at 5.5 is the right number for them. It's going to be right on the border of bowl, but the middle of their schedule. You look at this run of games: Pitt, Clemson, and this game against UConn in there, who they're also pretty good. Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech. There's a hard middle of the season. If they don't start 4-0. They probably are in real danger of missing a bowl game. I'm going to ride with you. I'll go under on that. Probably 5, and they're going to be on that 5-6 win borderline. That's the right number for them.
Our guy Seahawks fan in the chat also going under for us with the Boston College Eagles right now.
Gotta love when people agree with us.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. And Dawn and I usually don't agree with each other, but we're both going to go soft under for Boston College. They still could make a bowl game for the 3rd straight year, but we'll go with 5-7 for them right now. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.